This is my presentation on understanding students with ADHD. We'll start with how many students are being served with ADHD in schools today. As in our book, there's 7% of school-age children have ADHD. Then, how is the number of students identified in recent years and what are increased, and what are some reasons why? So since the late 1990s, it's increased by 30%. We also saw an increase of 42% from 2003 to 2011. Thinking about why, you could say that more doctors are more willing to diagnose students with ADHD or young children. Also, I feel like there's less treatment out there, so less people are being treated with ADHD. As diagnoses increase, then we're also increasing the amount of students who have this disorder. What are some specific behaviors and characteristics? So there's 3 types of ADHD: inattentive, hyperactive, impulsive, and a combined type. So for each one, there's a list of characteristics and behaviors, and when the student is, or child or adult is being tested for ADHD to figure out if they have it, they have to meet 6 of the amount of characteristics or more. So some characteristics are not paying attention in class, struggling to pay attention during classroom activities, they're easily distracted. These fall in the innovative ADHD type. And then for the hyperactive, they're more talkative, interruptive, they have a hard time staying still. And some students have a mixture of both, and that's where you get the combined. So some of them have a hard time sitting still in class, while others just are bored and not paying attention. So you have the combined type, which most students have today. A lot of them aren't just one, they have both types. Some issues these students face is they are still in a classroom with regular students, so sometimes if the teacher's just lecturing, the student is bored, they're not paying attention, they're lost, so you see they have academic struggles, they aren't doing as well as students who don't have ADHD. They also can cause disruptions to classroom settings, they blurt out, they're talkative, they're disrupting other students. And then that comes to teachers being frustrated and all of that. Also, this can hurt them socially. They can have a hard time making friends. Sometimes they're more quiet, or sometimes it helps them socially and emotionally. Some of them, the emotions are high and low through ADHD. They don't know how to control their emotions sometimes, so this can be difficult for students with this diagnosis. Do all students with ADHD demonstrate the same characteristics or degree of behavior? And explain why. I would say no, because there's multiple characteristics that a student would fall into the category of ADHD, that not all students will have the same characteristics. Not all students are going to be very talkative and disruptive. Some of them may be quiet, they may be bored, they may just have a hard time paying attention during lectures. Some students might like to be more active, up and moving in the classroom, where others might not. So that's why students can have different characteristics and still have ADHD, because there are so many characteristics, and you just have to have 6 or more out of the list that's provided when they're being tested. According to Adhd 2004, under what category are students with ADHD? So Adhd doesn't specifically define ADHD, but professionals do focus on the same definition, saying that ADHD interferes with the student's development and functioning in multiple settings. So that would include school or sports or anything like that. Adhd also has ADHD as a learning disability, an emotional and behavioral disorder, and an intellectual disability. But they still require all students with ADHD to be included in a general education classroom. If they are, while they're included in this classroom, it's up to the teacher to help support them and help find ways to make learning easier for them. What are some effective class-wide interventions for students, especially those who have characteristics of ADHD? So I'd say setting goals, even for all students, just making sure all students in the class have goals. They don't always have to be the same, but something that is attainable that they can get to. I think this is a good learning activity for anyone to set goals and to be able to reach goals or cross things off their list. And this will help students with ADHD more staying aware of what they need to do and keeping track. I would also say there's multiple ways to adjust the classroom. So you can have your classroom in more of a group setting, less lecture-like, so students are being able to work together and communicate. It doesn't always need to be quiet. The students can talk to each other. You can also have your classroom set up where, in the picture below, students are up and moving. They're doing different activities, not just sitting there with a pen and paper and writing and answering questions. And again, interactive classroom activities. So we're moving, we're going outside to do something. They're up on the board writing, just other things to keep students more involved as a whole, but it also gives students with ADHD a way to kind of stay focused, release their energy in different ways, not just sit there staring off into space. And that is my presentation. Thank you.